Welcome to another episode of The Key to Understanding Credit by J.D. Henry. Today we have a special guest, Chester Crawford. Chester is in Huntsville, Texas here. He owns a business with a tax and insurance in business, but today we're going to talk about taxes. And he's been an IRS enrolled agent for over 40 years. So does he know what he's talking about? He does. He's the man. So at this time, he's been doing it for over 40 years, and I'm going to turn it over to Chester Crawford. Welcome, Chester.
Yes, how you doing, sir?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Yes, my name is Chester Crawford. I'm located here in Huntsville, Texas. My office is at 100 Highway 190 in Huntsville, Texas. And I do income tax preparations. I've been an IRS enrolled agent for probably the past 11, 12 years, but I've been preparing taxes for about 40 years. I'm proficient in personal returns, business returns, S-corp returns, and partnerships returns. So I can be reached at my phone number 936-291-1887. That again is 936-291-1887.
Chester, tell us about the deadline forthcoming. I believe it's sometime next month in April. Mm-hmm. And you also not only do personal taxes, but you said you also do corporate taxes. Yes. So tell us about the upcoming deadline and what people should be aware of on that.
Yes, the tax deadline approaching is April 15th, 2024 for your personal and your business tax returns, your Schedule C returns. And it's imperative that people make sure that you have all of your income streams, all of your expense streams before you decide to come to a preparer to get ready to do these things. If you cannot have your return prepared by April 15, 2024, there's an IRS form which is called a 4868, which you can get an extension on the return for this present year. Now be mindful that the 4868 is only to get time to file a return, but not time to pay if you owe.
Right.
So if you owe money to the IRS, you should guesstimate what you may owe and send the check along with the 4868 to the IRS before April the 15th, 2024. And that gives you until October the 15th, 2024 to get the return in. So once again, the extension does not give you time to pay money. It gives you time to file a return. So the IRS wants their money that you think you may owe before April the 15th.
And tell me about it. Aren't they fines and penalties when you are late and you finally do pay them? And aren't they pretty substantial today?
Yeah, they're daily interest rates, and there's a one-time penalty for not filing. And those figures, I don't keep those numbers in my head as exactly what they are, but it's imperative to get it in timely.
Yeah,
that's the best thing to do.
In other words, always be on time.
Always be on time.
With anything else. Well, as far as your taxes, personal and business, how long are you required to keep those records? I mean, what would you recommend of keeping them? Otherwise, if you were ever audited and they came back on you, a lot of people really don't know. Some people say 5 years, some people say 7 years, some people say 10 years in business, and some people say you should never really get rid of your business records.
Yeah. With tax returns, 5 to 7 years is a good rule of thumb. Of course, you can always reach the IRS and get a copy of your transcript if you happen to lose your tax returns. But if you have major transactions, as in selling a home, selling rental property, selling a business, you probably want to keep those returns somewhat indefinitely, just in case some things happen to rear their heads in the future.
And as far as inheriting property or inheriting anything, the IRS does not have anything to do with that. That does not go on your taxes. Is that right or wrong?
Inheriting property, no, does not go on your taxes until there's a death and then there's a sale.
Right.
Then there's a whole different type of animal that's created in that situation. And usually when you inherit property and from a decedent, which is a person that has passed away, that's a relative, well, you get a step up in basis. So you get the same market value that they would have if they were living.
So basically, if I understand what you're saying, when you inherit property, or let's say money from an inheritance, you don't pay tax at that time. But if that property starts producing income, or you invest that money and it starts producing income, that's money that you're making off that inherited income, then you pay taxes on that income.
Yeah,
right?
well, if you inherit, as you said, cash money, usually it's coming from a savings account, checking account, market account, or whatever type of account where you basically going to turn this money from their name over into your name if you're the POD or the signer on the bank account, and then that money becomes your money to file as your own personal transaction.
Yeah, and I know what a POD is, but most people don't. Tell them what a POD is.
A POD is a paid on death. If you
Right.
don't want a signer on your bank account, you can describe what you call a POD, which is a person that can get paid the benefits from your checking, savings, money market accounts should you pass away. You don't want them to sign any checks as you sign checks, but they can be a POD and get awarded the funds that are in your account when you pass away. Now, my understanding from speaking to banking people is that a signer as yourself can close the account, but a POD cannot close the bank account.
Yeah, basically, they're a beneficiary to that account.
Yes, yes.
Of course, upon your death,
Yes.
whatever funds, whether it be a CD in the bank, a money market checking account,
Right.
those funds go to them upon your death because
Right.
you've already signed a directive
Right.
saying this is where you want that money to
Exactly.
go. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
What, to be compliant with the IRS, is there a certain length of time for the filings or anything?
The IRS has basically made a blanket statement that 6 years from now back is considered compliance. So 6 years of filings.
In a row.
Yes, in a row.
That's right. we want to be sure, Seco. So we're talking about 2024 now. What we're talking.
We're talking about 2023 returns. So you're talking about 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 17 through the present.
So you can't play hopscotch. That's how important it is, guys. You got to be consistent for all 6 years in a row.
Yes.
You can't do two and then two.
Right. You got to be consistent in a row, and that number can, if the IRS suspect that there are some things in the past that you may have had self-employed income or might not file income on, well, they can request those returns back up to 10 years. So, file on time. That's the main thing.
Well,
even if you owe taxes and know you owe taxes, it's still best to file a tax return and create an installment agreement.
Right, because they know you're making an effort.
Yes.
That your name's in the pot. They don't have to come looking for you. You've already put your name in the pot. Say, hey guys, we're aware and we're going to take care of it, but we need an extension.
Yes.
And how long will they give you for an extension? I'm sure it's
an extension of less than $50,000 that's owed, you can get up to 72 months.
Oh, okay.
So they usually take the $50,000 divided by 72 months. And that's created as your monthly amount to pay. Now, be mindful that that amount that you're paying is not going to knock a dent in paying that off in 72 months. So it's best to throw some real cash at a real serious debt.
Right, and they're not, death and taxes, they always talk about. So, we're not going to get out of the world alive, but the IRS today, they're hiring more and more people in the government to go after back taxes and people that are slow paid. So.
Yes. A lot of those people are to do the paperwork and answer the phones and things that have been slack during the pandemic, but they are going after high income earners. So.
And when the IRS notifies you, they notify you by certified letter, probably, or a letter, don't they, or do they? How do they notify you?
The IRS usually only uses USPS, United States Postal Service, certified mail. The IRS don't send you emails in order to get in touch with you. They use your mailing address of last resort that they have on file to reach you. Okay. And they don't send any emails. They don't have anybody to call you over the phone to request any money or anything like that.
Yeah. How important is it to keep records on all your money that you're spending, especially receipts?
Yes, especially if you're in business, you want to keep good records of your income and your expenditures because the paper trail is very important to document and to verify that these things happen in your business trail.
And for an example, let's say that I have just a small farm and have 10 head of cattle that I'm feeding, and I go to the feed store, and every time I go to the feed store, I write a check for to the feed stores
Right.
and I put on their cattle feed now, and they give me a receipt. What happens if I don't keep that receipt? Is that check good enough or not? That's what I'd like to know.
The check can be used in lieu of in good faith, as long as it's good faith, a good due diligent
Right,
effort
right.
to make sure that these expenses are correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And with all that's going on in our crazy world today, of course, we've always dealt with fraud. We've always dealt with scams. And of course, today we have artificial intelligence, which
Yes.
is AI. And man, just scams are out there by the handful. So talk to us about, what to expect or not to expect. That, like you said earlier, they're not going to call you. The IRS is not going to call you, which is the Internal Revenue
Yes,
Service.
yes.
They're going to send you a certified letter that you're going to have to sign for it. But tell us a little bit about some of the scams
Yes,
that are going
to
on.
go further into that, the IRS do not call you. They do not send emails. The IRS don't request that you send them money with a green dot card and drop it in the mail to a certain address that you don't know anything about. And the best thing to do in those situations, if you get approached, is to just slow down and think about what's being asked of you. Do you really owe this bill? If you hadn't filed anything that's on file, you may not owe this bill. So you need to approach somebody, ask myself or somebody that's a tax attorney or someone that's a CPA, and we have the authority to get power of attorney in order to look into your situation and help you.
And that's wonderful to know because, Internal Revenue Service has their own website and they have their own phone number. And so what would you do if you got contacted and you think you don't owe that? You need to contact IRS official website and call them, and they would look into it for you and tell you, hey, this is a scam, leave it alone. You don't call back the people that are calling you because they're criminals. They do it for a living.
That's what they do.
They're professionals, and we're all good at what we do for a living.
All they're trying to do is get 1 out of 10, 15, 20 to hit.
That's right.
all
It's
they
like
trying to-
fishing. You hope to catch a big fish.
That's right.
The little ones you throw away.
All they're trying to do is get this one person to go along with the deal as far as going to the local Walmart or Target and getting some green dot cards and sending them to
Gift
this
cards,
address.
anything. Yeah, that's not the way it works.
It doesn't work like that.
Wow. Well, hey, that's real good information. And they're not, if you do get contacted by the IRS, by the letter we're talking about, they're not threatening you. And I hear of all kind of scams that these professional people that are the scammers on the phone, they're threatening you and giving you a deadline to do something for them. And that should send up a red flag there, shouldn't it?
Yeah, the IRS send out letters, and they send out soft letters to say, hey, we see this on your return, or it don't match what we have, just to answer questions and this and that. But the best thing you can do with the IRS is not ignore them.
Right.
Don't ignore the letters. If it's something that you don't understand, go to a professional that can help you navigate this process.
Okay. Well, today our guest was Chester Crawford, highly recommended tax man here in Huntsville, Texas. Chester, give him your phone number and address one more time.
You can reach me at my office, 936-291-1887, 936-291-1887, or just go directly to chestercrawford.com and read the information that's there and get in touch with me.
Appreciate it, Chester. And for any of your questions, he's the man to see. Thank you very much.